Hello everyone, I am Nicole Oman and welcome to your weekly reading video. This is where I do 3 different tarot readings and you get to listen to a brief description of each one and decide which reading is right for you. These are really fun, but they're general readings, so if not everything makes sense, that's okay. Just hold a little space, keep listening, because I put in a lot of detail in each and every single one of my readings. So you're going to see my background change a little bit. I am in the middle of moving from Colorado to Florida, but I'm going to try to stay as consistent as possible, especially for next week with our new moon in Gemini. But I'm going to try to keep these readings every single week. If you like what I do, make sure that you subscribe to my channel and click that little bell, the notification, so you can get these beautiful readings every single week. Also, I just want to let you know that I am going to put new information. I'm kind of shifting my branding around a little bit. If you know my work, I've been doing tarot for many years, 20 years to be precise, and it doesn't always feel like the breadth of where I want to go in my life. I've already built an entire career based off of my tarot cards and building a community and all of that. And I feel like I need to spice up my life a little bit. So you might see me playing with some new videos around relationships, sexuality, tantra, and really diving in to this concept of the 7 aspects of love and what aspect of love that you already have activated in your life and which ones need a little work, okay? So if you want a little bit more support and guidance around relationships, around sexuality, and developing your own inner empowerment, needing to feel good in your skin, this is a lot of the content you're also going to be seeing from me as I develop my voice and my message along the way. All right, everyone, without further ado, here are your descriptions for your readings. Make sure you subscribe to my channel and I will see you inside. Okay, in reading 1, I used the Thoth Tarot deck. In this reading, we talk about all your efforts that you have been trying, maybe for the last 7 months or so, feel futile, no matter what actions you're taking, no matter how much effort you're putting in, and maybe even how much inner work you're doing, it's not yielding the results that you're expecting. And that can make you feel powerless and it can make you feel frustrated. But there's something deeper, there's a deeper meaning of what you're going through, and we cover all of that in reading 1. So if that's what you're feeling in your life right now, then this reading might be for you. You can skip right to reading 1 by going to the timestamp below and clicking on that reading and skipping right to your reading. All right, see you there. In reading 2, I use the Light Seers Tarot deck. And in this reading, we cover ourselves getting out of this very narrow-sighted life that we're thinking that we need to live. And we are expanding our horizons. We're coming into new ideas, but also not just going into all these grandiose ideas. It's really looking at the reality of what these ideas would entail. If you know what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do, then you can make a more grounded and inspired decision on where you want to take your life. So if you're looking to ground some of your ideas and inspirations into manifestation, this is the reading for you. You can go down to the time signature in the description box below, go to reading 2, and skip right to your reading. Okay, for reading 3, we have an interesting one. So this reading is talking about a relationship. It might be a relationship that you're in presently that doesn't feel either emotionally or sexually fulfilling. And so what we might be doing is bringing in or trying to call in a grass is greener relationship, maybe from our past. But there is some really strong decisions that you need to make in your life now, whether it's in your relationship or in the decisions you've been making around relationship, that you need to really look at. There's some truths that there might be pink elephants in the room, if you will, and these truths need to be looked at so you can actually create a relationship that is in congruence with sacred union and also with excitement, joy, and love, passion. So if you're looking to bring your relationships to the next level, this is the interesting reading for you. You can look down at the time signature below and skip to reading 3. Okay, see you there. Namaste. Okay, reading 1, here is your reading. So the first card that we have in the theme position, the theme of this reading, is the energy of futility. I know, not the most glamorous of topics, but we need to talk about this. This card comes up when we feel like our efforts are futile. We might be listening to spirit. We might be dotting all our I's and crossing all of our T's, and yet it feels like our efforts are not getting the success that we want. Even if we have been working on ourselves diligently, it feels like all those efforts are futile. And this can be a massively disempowering feeling. And I'm totally in empathy with you because the last few years, a lot of my efforts, even listening to my inner guidance, taking action, it did not, the results did not turn out in the way that I expected them to. And it feels like we're still trudging in mud. And if you can feel empathy for that because you're going through that, the way that I started dealing with this energy, I started to hit kind of like a rock bottom place emotionally, spiritually. I was thinking about letting go of my work because I did everything right and yet nothing was moving or happening. So what I started to do is go back to the foundational understanding of wisdom, of my spiritual life, and of life. Why am I here? What is this all for? And as I started looking at that foundation, I realized that this issue, what I was doing externally, even looking into my inner guidance, the issue itself was deeper and deeper and deeper than what I could have imagined. So let's go into the 2 cards in our present position here. We have the Death card in reverse, and that is kind of our starting point of our present position. The Death card in reverse is telling me that you're going through an ego death. The reason why the energy here feels like your efforts are futile is because the deeper meaning of what's really happening is that there is a part of you that's literally dying. And this is kind of called the death before the death. However, we go through this at different cycles of our life. If you look back at these big, hard lessons that you had to go through, after you went through that hard cycle of time, what begins to happen is it changes you in a certain way. The people that were in your life may have changed, your job, your house. Sometimes it's having a child or the child going off to college, you lose a job. What I'm trying to say is the things that you identified with shifted. That means that the identities that you now are becoming are new. And you don't exactly, they're not kind of put together yet. So it's putting you into this state of needing to build a new foundation. So the next card I have is the 4 of Discs. And if you look, there's 4 walls here, and each one of these towers represent a different element. This is telling me, because it's the 4 of Discs, it's the 4 of Earth, it's a deep level of new foundation in your reality, in your earth-based plane, right? So because it has the 4 symbols, your inspirations, your desires, that fire energy is going to be different. Your thoughts, your beliefs, the way that you see the world is going to be different. There's a new foundation here. Your emotions, how you feel, what nourishes you, what fulfills you is going to be different. And then physically, maybe the way that you make money, your home, things are going to be different. You are getting a deep, new, and powerful foundation to build what you're wanting to build. So if your efforts are futile, what I want to tell you is that it's kind of an illusion that your efforts are futile. It's like running on a treadmill on a cruise ship, right? We're running. We feel like we're not going anywhere. We're using a lot of effort and force, and yet we feel like we're going nowhere. But in reality, we're on this huge cruise ship that's going from Europe to the United States, right? And so, yes, it feels like we're putting a lot of effort that's going nowhere, but yet there's something underneath us. There's a bigger container here that's pushing us and driving us forward. And we can go on the pool deck and allow ourselves to relax a little bit and listen to when it's time to move forward or what to move forward to. If we already exhausted all of our resources emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually, what that's telling you is there's something deeper coming up that's needing to be looked at. And your efforts are not futile. It just might be a timing issue, okay? So I want to go into the past position here to give you a little bit of understanding of what has happened in your past that is probably still affecting you right now. And we have the indolence card, which is kind of an energy of apathy or not being able to move forward because we're being lazy. Because it's in the reverse position, you might have went through a cycle of this in your past of like, I don't want to look at it. And now you're looking at it and you're like, things are still not shifting for me. What I'm getting from this is it's not about being lazy. Maybe you had a fear of being lazy, right? And so you move forward, and that's why the efforts were futile, because you had a fear of being lazy. Don't waste your emotional resources on things that you cannot change. This is coming back to that foundation, that serenity prayer, if you will, of please give me the awareness, right? So if you don't know the serenity prayer, I'm going to butcher it here so you can look it up. But at the same time, it's God, please give me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change. Give me the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference, the discernment of when to hold them, know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, know when to run, know when to take action, and know when emotionally maybe we're just spinning our wheels because we feel powerless, to sit back and rest. Sit back and allow this death process to continue to happen, and listen to when you need to take action and what you need to take action on, instead of needing to be busy all the time or trying to control your situation. Sometimes a grieving process or death process just takes one thing: time. You can't rush your healing. You can't rush your process. You're learning valuable lessons in this very moment as you're going through this death process, and you're letting go, shedding skins, shedding layers of the self that no longer serve you. And you just have to wait to do that, because you're getting a massive foundational overhaul. I just keep getting that. So let's go into the advice from Spirit. Up here, up above, right down here, it is the Art card in reverse. In General Tarot, this card represents temperance. So I get two very different messages a kind of interlink from this advice card from Spirit. First, I want to go to the word temperance. Temperance is that part of when somebody is tempering a sword, right? They have to put it in the fire and then they have to beat on it so it gets its shape, so it gets sharp, right? And that might be a really intense experience if you're the sword, okay? Sometimes we are being put in the fire and we're being beat on and beat on and beat on because we're sharpening our skills. We're sharpening on who we are. We're learning these really deep lessons. So we have to just rest and take time when we're getting kind of beat on by the universe. Maybe our finances, maybe people have been really weird with us. Maybe we lost a job. This is the universe kind of beating on us. It's not because you're doing anything wrong and you're not being punished. This is what I want to talk about, this foundational, like spiritual life lessons, like these, like the foundational spiritual lessons is life is happening for you, not to you. But if we feel like we're being beat on, it's really easy to fall into victim feelings, victim mentality. That's the futility. The futility is the victim mentality. And I had to do this for myself, where I heard it and I'm like, how many times have I heard that from like Tony Robbins and all these other spiritual coaches that are saying this? And I'm like, I really have to listen and continue to shift my perspective of all these things that I'm doing, all this futility, all this feeling like I got backstabbed is not happening to me. I'm not a victim of this experience. It's changing me. It's happening for me. And when we can start understanding it's happening for us, then we can start getting into the energy of gratitude. This was tricky for me. I had to I've been hitting like some rock bottom things where I feel a lot of things are out of my control, especially financially. And I'm laying in bed and I feel the fears, I feel the worries come up, my body's sweating because I feel powerless. I can't really do anything for it. And I got to this deep place into my heart and I said, thank you. This is when I was waking up in the morning. So it was like really on the peak of dawn here. And I say to myself, I'm grateful that I'm alive today. I'm grateful I have another day with my kids and my husband. I'm grateful that I do have my health. And even though these problems are really putting me on my edge on every aspect of my life, thank you for this day. And when I got there is when I realized gratitude, holding on to that grain of gratitude, drives me out of bed, allows me to listen and continue to move through this particular state of feeling all my energy is futile, all my efforts are futile. It's making me go, it doesn't matter what my efforts are. It brings me right back to the core of what this life experience is about, is trusting the experience that you're going through, trusting the cycle that you're going through, because it's changing you and you have to go through this too. Spirituality is not all about rainbows and butterflies and unicorn farts and rainbows, even though I love all of those things. It's also about those really deep, challenging lessons that you go through that help you become you. And then this brings me back to the next piece of the advice that I'm getting from this card, which is the art in reverse. Your life is your art. Your life is your creation. And if anybody has played with any type of art form, hi, my sweet girl, I'm recording. Can I have a second, please? You need something? I don't understand.
Snack.
I'll get you a snack in a second. I love you. So what I'm getting is, when you have done any art, you know this. Art is contrast. it is a culmination of light and shadow, right? It's a culmination of different, the light and the dark coming together to make a beautiful piece of artwork. You can't judge the brightness of your artwork if you don't have the contrast of the dark and the light and the shadow, right? Something that I learned when I was at the ashram in India, there was this beautiful night, and I was in the depths of hell inside of myself. I was in the depths of sorrow. I was so sad. I was so dark. And I went up onto the top of the temple in India, and on one side there's this beautiful beach, and on the other side there's this backwaters of India. And I'm looking over the beach as the sun is setting, and there is this massive dark blue, almost black cloud, and behind it is this ray of sun that's like has this aura of gold behind it. It looked like the most beautiful piece of artwork I've ever seen. And the thing that came to me in that moment is I had this reflection that what I was feeling in that depth of hell of my heart was being reflected back to me in this beautiful landscape and this beautiful sunset. And I had this beautiful realization that what I was seeing was the reflection of my own sadness. And I wept because I saw the beauty of it. I was just judging it. And as I judged it, I suffered. When I began to see it as a piece of art, I began to realize that this too is beauty. My sorrow, my heartbreak, my devastation was also part of the artwork of my life. And that is the misunderstanding that we might be having of this futility. This too is beautiful. Even if it sucks, the wisdom and the lesson here is if you can find happiness in this too, then no matter what the circumstances that are happening in your life can also be part of your story, be part of your art, and be part of you becoming all the layers of who you are. Okay, so let's go into the future position to help you with what to focus on the next 1 to 3 months as we're moving out of this energy of misunderstanding why it feels futile to us, okay? So the card that I have is the Magus. This is the Magician. In the Thoth deck, there are 3 different magicians. This particular magician, in the reverse position, has a lot of things kind of floating in the air around them, okay? At the same time, there's these energies of the caduceus, the kundalini rising, if you will, the 2 snakes, the Ida and the Pingala. What I'm getting in these 2 energies is that again, the death process, the death of the ego, the magician is definitely the culmination of your new self. And you are becoming, right? You are becoming that. But there's still some things that are kind of flying at you. There's some choices that might be orbiting you that you either have to go, yeah, no, that's not mine. Or grab and go, okay, yes, I'm taking that one on. I'm taking this new role on. So there's still some sorting that needs to be that is happening for you. There might be some new skills that you're still developing and learning in your life. And then there's some things maybe about your personality that you're still taking ownership on. I did pull another card with this, which I think is really interesting. The card that I got was the High Priestess. So these 2 are kind of bedfellows. The Magician card is the 1, the Priestess card is the number 2, and the Major Arcana. This is telling me that maybe you're even moving it out of this sense of identity of the Magician that's all about the one, all about you, and you're moving into a new cycle of the Priestess, the wisdom of the feminine. So the wisdom of the feminine here in regards to this is similar to the Magician, but she has more ability to understand the depth of her emotion, the depth of her subconscious. She sits between the worlds of the physical reality and the spiritual world, and kind of can interpret both what she's learning on a spiritual level and what she's learning on a lower self level, a higher self and a lower self level. And this is the culmination of coming together and becoming in the wholeness of understanding the relationship between the higher and lower self. When she comes into her state of empowerment, then she has more capability to wield her reality in a different way. However, until she's empowered, until she's integrated, her higher self is integrated within her lower self, until her lower self honors the higher self's spiritual journey. And when the higher self understands and respects the life journey, that sometimes things just take time, that sometimes we have to learn a state of patience, that sometimes we have to go through the hard things to understand the depth of love, the depth of life. When we get into that state of harmony, and that comes into the state of love in our heart, then we can start wielding our power, changing our reality, because we know who we are again and we become integrated. I do see that maybe happening within a pretty awesome cycle of time of maybe 2 months or something. But be patient with yourself. Again, you can't rush your healing. The last thing that I want to finish up here with is, I love these cards and they come to me every so often. I can't really find them anymore. The Return of Spirit card deck by Cheryl Lee Harnish. And this is the frequency shift card. And I want to read this to you because this one really impacted me the other day when I was literally saying a lot of the things in this card. So I'm going to read it to you just the way it is. I don't think I need to put any more interpretation to this. You are about to experience a shift in your frequency, and this card comes to help prepare you for the upcoming event. Being ready and knowing what to expect can help you get through the transitional period. A frequency shift occurs when the soul is ready for the next part of its journey. However, this does not mean that our human consciousness is necessarily ready. The things that alter during this period can be difficult to endure, but you will make it through and be much better off for it. Most often when this shift begins, we will experience depression or a feeling of needing to withdraw from the world. Usually there are events that take place just before the shift, which cause you to need to take a step back from the world. It is during this specific part of the transition that is difficult to relate to other people. So we might be going into a state of isolation. Your path and purpose may feel as though they have vanished. You are left questioning everything you have done and worked up into this point in your life. Oh boy, did I feel that. Everything vanished, my career, everything went away, and I was definitely left with feeling lost. Do you resonate with that? Do you feel that too? The intuitive faculties will also take a hit. It may seem that your connection with spirit has been completely severed. The guidance you once received may feel silent. Basically, everything will get a shutdown. This is because your energetic engine is getting a complete overhaul and it cannot be left running when this happens. But just note that once complete, your connection will be stronger than ever. More than likely, you will have a new team of guides working with you. This is so you can bring through higher energies in whatever work you do. You will be more focused on your purpose and doing the work from spirit than ever before. The cycle is almost done. You are going to go into a state of integration. Your new higher self, the understanding of that higher self and your new lower self will begin to meet, and this frequency shift will take place. You will be more effective than you ever have been. We just have to get through this energy of futility. don't worry, it will not last forever, and you are in exactly the place you need to be. This time, even if you're feeling like the universe is beating you up a little bit, is also happening for you, not to you. This too is holy. Find the gratitude in this place too. Find your happiness and find the beauty of this place too, and you will find the wisdom that you're looking for. All right. All right, everyone, that is the reading for you, reading one. If you like what I do, you can book a reading or a session with me, and I can help you release your resistance to this time period of your life. Also, if you like my readings, please do me a favor and subscribe so that you get more of this beautiful support and guidance in your life every week. All right, everyone, I will see you again next week. Have a beautiful, beautiful week. Namaste. Hello, reading 2, and welcome to your reading. Let's jump in and see what we have in store for us today. So in your theme position, we have the Page of Cups. This reading is going to be about opening yourself up to different possibilities. But what's really interesting as I look at these cards is we have a little bit of an angel on one ear and the devil in the other, right? And they're both vying for our attention. This can happen in Gemini energy just because Gemini is the twins. So there's two parts of yourself that are really kind of fighting for what you're listening to. But in the center here, in this theme, I'm getting this energy of hold on, hope. Allow your imagination to run a little wild. Start imagining yourself in different lives, different possibilities, also maybe even different careers. If you have some things that are kind of pulling at you and you don't know where you want to steer your life, I want you to imagine yourself in that life. One of the things that I used to teach in the very beginning of my career was The Artist Way by Julia Cameron. And The Artist Way gives you these exercises that you can do. And I believe that this was like one of the first weeks, if you will. And it gives you this exercise to write down 10 to 20 careers that you thought about as a kid, or even like going into college, on different things that you could have done, right? And so then you choose 3 of those careers, and then you write about what your life would look like if you were in that career or in that job choice. You could do that for yourself in a career choice, or even if you're thinking about moving, what your life would look like in that particular area, in different relationships, being single, whatever you need to do to imagine what those lives would actually entail. The reality of what that is a beautiful way to start feeling into what direction you would like to head into. Or we might be romanticizing an idea, a relationship, a person, a job in our head. But if we really look at the nooks and crannies of it, we might go, oh, that's not actually what I want. I'm just looking at AstroTurf. The grass is definitely not greener. But allowing yourself to go into your imagination and to dream about these things will help you kind of let go of some confusion, because there's definitely some confusion that's coming up in this reading. But first, I want to go into the present position before we talk about that. So let's bring in the present cards. So the first card that I have in your present position is a major arcana card, and it's the Justice card. This is where I got this idea that the angel and the devil might be talking to you. So look at this card for me. On top here is this beautiful, peaceful looking woman who has her sword, right? She has this kind of sword of truth that's in between another aspect of herself. This is her shadow nature down here below. It doesn't mean the shadow is a bad voice. The shadow sometimes is the voice of reason, but the shadow can also be the voice of doubt, fear, worry, pessimism. And I'm all about being a realist here. Being over optimistic can also be a shadow aspect, because we're like, oh, everything's going to be fine. Well, yeah, but we also have to put some work into whatever we're trying to manifest into the world, right? So I want you to have a beautiful understanding of what, when your shadow or your wounding is speaking to you. This also, the shadow can be a certain sense of perfectionism, which can get you into paralysis. So it's not about killing your demons. It's not about fighting your shadows. It's about learning to listen to them without identifying with that voice. Because when we're in identification with our shadow, then we believe these voices to be ourselves. We also believe that these voices are the end all be all. That is our truth. That is our whatever it is, right? Like it is our truth. It is our reality. But you have a million thoughts a day. You don't need to believe every single thought that runs through your head. Some of those thoughts are just fear-based and they never come to fruition. So when I see those voices, so another exercise that I did in the artist way is I went, oh, that's my perfectionistic voice. And I gave it a look. I drew it. And I gave it a name. And I started disidentifying from that voice and having a conversation. When I started realizing and having a conversation with this particular voice, we could negotiate. Yes, I hear you. You want quality. You want me to be in integrity, but at the same time, you're also stopping me from doing anything. And we need to tone this voice down a little bit, right? And we need to pay attention to a little bit more of what we're capable of in a realistic term. This is the maturity, this woman who is in her power, still looking at that shadow, finding balance, if you will, right? Because the scales are here, finding balance on the way that it looks at this shadow voice. That's real. Reintegrating the shadow is the real essence of shadow work. The next card that I have is the Three of Cups. This is the crossing. This is giving me a really interesting energy. A lot of times I see this energy around sisterhood. So a lot of these voices could be coming from an external naysayers. Wow, we're going full artist way in this reading. Another exercise that we do is seeing who our creative champions are, the ones that really build us up, really believe in us, and then who are our creative saboteurs? Who are the ones that they think that they're keeping you safe will come in and be like, do you really want to do that? Do you really want to take that leap of faith? Do you know that you would have instability all the time? What are those naysayers? What are those creative saboteurs? And those might be the creative saboteurs in your head. You might be your own worst creative saboteur. I know most people are. But you might also need to look at the people who are negative Nancy's in your life. And they might be putting undue stress or pressure on you to be perfect. We have to then get our power back from those voices. And they might be in our present, but that might be also like a acting teacher that told you you were shit and you were still giving the power to that voice. It might be your mother who told you that being an artist or a singer is going to leave you broke and on the street. And so you let go of your singing, something that created beautiful expression in your life, right? So we need to get our power back from the creative saboteurs, life saboteurs, not just in our art, but in our own lives. Who are our life saboteurs? Who are always squashing what we're doing, right? It is up to you. You can't always change the people around you, but you can change how you feel about yourself. And you can also change if you're spending time with them or not. Boundaries. That's what that Justice card is really there to say. Boundaries with these voices, internally and externally. Okay, so in the past position, we have the Five of Wands. This tells me, and it's in reverse, this is a part of ourself. In the traditional tarot, there's 5 different people and they're all kind of doing something different with the wands. This is they're all kind of scattered on a different one, right? And so you might have a lot of scattered thoughts, scattered ideas. You haven't really committed to one, if you will. We're getting kind of caught in everybody's idea. Maybe you have different options and everybody's like, you should do this one, you should do this one, you should do this one. This is about clearing all that, coming back to that justice card, also coming back to that page of cups. What do you want? Screw what everybody else wants. What do you want? We need to manage our thoughts a little bit too, because we might want, well, I want this, and I want this, and I want this, I want this. How can all of your wants come into harmony and alignment? We might just have to state them. These are my non-negotiables. This is what I really want, right? When we can get a certain sense of organization, we know that when a thought or an idea comes, thank you, I'll write that in a journal, but right now I have so many thoughts that I don't need another idea. I don't need another inspiration. I don't need another voice in my head, thank you very much. I need to get the thoughts and the ideas that I already have into a certain state of priority. Which one do I really, really feel connected to? And 2 or 3 might be kind of vying for that. When I have someone who's getting into their creativity or their messaging or whatnot, I have them pitch 3 different ideas to me. When I see their body light up, when I see their energy change, I start to go, I even record them to show them, look at your body language. The body doesn't lie. And sometimes those few ideas can also be merged in a certain way, right? And so what I'm getting at is just write these ideas down. I keep write these different lives down and see which ones really light you up and which ones maybe you have to do because of obligation, but start moving towards taking those steps every day. Like, yes, you might have to be in the job for that stable income, but doing it doing your art, doing whatever these passion ideas as a side hustle might start becoming the steps you need to get out of that career. So you're creating a stable foundation as your side hustle, as you spend more and more energy on the things you really want to create and do in the world. Okay. So the card from Spirit, we have the 6 of Wands. This is where you're being seen, you're shining, you're doing the thing you want to do. It's in reverse because they're saying, I pulled a card with it. It's the 7 of Pentacles. So the 7 of Pentacles is, it just takes a little time. You can't just snap your fingers and go, I'm going to have the life that I dream of right now because I want it and I believe it and I believe in the law of attraction. So right now. It also takes a little bit of time. It takes a little bit of due diligence and hard work. He's planted this tree. There's like these seeds of intention there, but he has to tend to it. He has to nurture it. And what a plant tells us is that a plant doesn't go from seed to tree in a day. It has its development. And so you will be able to get those accolades. You will be able to shine forth. You will be able to be on the stage that you want to be on. But you have to just do the day-to-day mundane things, the reality also of what you're daydreaming. Again, I'm going to go back to that artist way thing. I want you to see what the day-to-day tasks would be in those different ideas that you have. If you want to build a retreat center or own a retreat center, right? There's mundane tasks that you have to do. If you don't want to do all the tasks, then you have to hire a team. What does it feel like to be a leader? What does it feel like to be a team leader? What does it feel like to, maybe I don't want to own one. Maybe I just want to work at one and teach one. Oh, okay. What are the mundane tasks of teaching at a retreat center? Like, for example, right? Enter your ideas here. You don't have to go with mine, just an example, but go into the mundane tasks and see which ones that you would actually do and which ones you would actually want to do. There's some people that I get to that they're like, I want to be this, but they don't want to do all the things that entails. I want to be an entrepreneur. I'm like, you don't really have an entrepreneur mindset. Do you know how hard it is to be self-disciplined? Do you want to be self-disciplined? No, not really. Then there's a different way to be a healer, and those are the things that you have to allow yourself to be honest with. That's okay. There's no right or wrong on here. What do you want to do and what do you not want to do? There's some reality to this situation, but you will end up getting what you want. Okay, so let's go into the future position. The future position is the 5 of Swords. This is the angel and the demon thing I was talking about. There's a lot of worry here, right? There's a lot of getting in our heads. There's a lot of overthinking. There's a lot of analysis paralysis. So we have to go through a little bit of inventory in your head. So again, we might have to break down these 5 different voices that are taking up our attention all the time. And we might have to name them. Oh, this is my cheerleader. Her name is Nancy. This is my pessimist that thinks that nothing is ever going to go right. His name is Fabio. I don't know, I'm making stuff up over my head. In my head. This is my inner child. Sometimes it's creative and sometimes it needs a snack and a nap. Her name is Little Nick, right? And so I want you to look at these different voices that are constantly running. Can you do a little bit of pulling yourself back and seeing these different thoughts that are in your head? When you can do that, you become the CEO of your own reality here. You're the CEO of your own thoughts. Some of your thoughts might be running the show, and you have your inner child in the CEO position. And this thing's like, yay, I'm excited. No, I need a nap. You can't have your inner child as a CEO. Just imagine it's like Boss Baby, right? You can't have your inner 4-year-old trying to run your show. You need the inner parent. When you're at work, it needs to go to preschool. It needs to go take a nap, do its thing, right? So it's getting mental inventory here. I also get this energy. I pulled another card with it, which is the Wheel card, the Wheel of Fortune. Some things just take a cycle of time. That's going back to your advice from Spirit. Some things just take a cycle of time. But because the Wheel of Fortune is here, I do get a really beautiful result at the end of this. You are becoming who you need to be right now. But at the same time, let's be a little more aware of when our thoughts are sinking us or scattering us, okay? I know that the theme was the Page of Cups, but I keep getting that Justice card. We have to start putting boundaries with our own mind, our own mental habits. No more indulging in doubt, no more indulging in self-loathing or hatred. It's time to get your thoughts in alignment, be a little bit more encouraging and a little bit more patient with yourself, and you'll see results. So the last thing that I want to do before I get done with your reading is I've been reading one more little advice card from one of my favorite decks of cards that comes to me when I'm in a time of need. Return of Spirit by Cheryl Lee Harnish. You guys got the Worthy card. How beautiful is that? Look at this, worthy. You are worthy. So I'm going to just read it because I like these cards. I don't think that I need to put anything other than that. Let's get your Worthy card. You are one of those loving spirits who have come to be in service to humanity in this lifetime. This strong desire and need to give to your fellow man is embedded deep within your soul's blueprint. You play an important role in the cosmic plan. This card has come to you today as Spirit's way of giving you a much-needed reminder that you hold great worth and value. You can no longer question whether you are worthy or if you have value in this world. We all look to our physical world for confirmation. We question whether we are good enough, wanted, and needed. These are those mental voices, right? We want the world to tell us that we are doing well, and we want to know it wants what we have to offer. But your value cannot come from anyone or anything outside of you. That 3 of Cups, your champions and challengers. Just as you are right now, in this moment, you are enough. It is time for you to begin to understand your own worth and value. Spirit is asking you that you start now to understand just how important you are. Begin asking yourself, how much would you value someone who is as kind to you as you are to others? If you met a person whose inner heart was as caring and loving as yours, would you value them in your life? If someone gave to you as you give to others, would you value it? Of course you would. You need to see yourself. See just how valuable you really are. Your worth does not come from what you do or how you behave. Your worth comes from the fact that you are a part of God's source. Once you fully realize this, you will play an invaluable role with helping others to discover their own worth too. Okay. All right, that is your reading for today. If you like what I do, make sure you subscribe so you can get this guidance every week. Also, make sure you notify yourself, put that little bell up so you know when my messages come through for you. If you feel like you want to book a personal reading with me so you can dive into specificity just for you, you can book a reading. There's a link in the description box below. Until next week, have a beautiful, beautiful week. And namaste. Hello, reading 3. This is your reading. Buckle up because this one is super interesting. I actually don't necessarily know where I'm going with this reading. I'm just going to read the cards as they are. Try to get out of my head, try to get out of the way, and give you the guidance as best as I possibly can. Okay, so the theme position for your reading is the Star card. This is a major arcana card. This is a big life-changing moment. The Star card represents hope. It also represents that little speck of light in the darkness. Maybe we don't have much direction, but there might be one little glimmer of that star that we know we have to start heading towards, because that's the only clue that we have. It reminds me of like the 3 kings in the middle of the desert looking for Jesus, and all they have to do is look for that North Star to continue to head towards their destiny. Okay, so even if things are a little weird and wonky and dark for you, there are little specks of breadcrumbs of where you're supposed to head. However, I get this energy that sometimes in our past or even now, when we're listening to our guidance, it has taken us to a tower moment. There is a card that I pulled with it. It's the tower, the star in the tower. Even our guidance might land us into the place that we fear the most, where it breaks apart our life and takes us into massive transformation, transition, and we feel really like in the middle of the chaos. But the chaos, what I'm getting, is not here to punish you. The chaos is in like kind of transforming you. Now, for this particular reading that I'm getting, that it's coming from the activation of a person. So let's go into some of the other cards. Let's get out of the theme and go into the present position. We have the 10 of Cups, which is a beautiful card in your present moment. We also have, crossing it, the 8 of Swords in reverse. So the 8 of Swords in reverse is telling me that we might have a lot of things with this 10 of Cups. We have a lot of things that maybe look good on paper. Maybe other people look at you and like, wow, that relationship is really great, or wow, her life is really amazing. Maybe that's what we're putting on social media. Everything's going great. But really, we're having a little bit of an identity crisis with this 8 of Swords. We don't really know who we are or what we want. Maybe we checked off all the boxes and now we're like, oh, okay, so now I made my external world look like I have the perfect thing, but yet I'm still yearning. I'm still yearning for myself. I'm still yearning for passion. I'm still yearning for more. And we can judge ourselves for yearning for more. Well, we're grateful for what our life looks like, but something feels missing. maybe we lived an entire life, we checked all those boxes, is because that's what our parents wanted for us. It's this kind of conditioned behavior, but there's something deeper, something, a bigger, deeper spark that's calling us forward that we need to listen to. I want to go into our past position. So the past position, I have the Six of Cups. This is a card of nostalgia, but it's also a card of something maybe coming from our past. I keep getting this energy of like the King of Cup or an activator in our life, a person possibly from our past or an opportunity from our past. Maybe we're going back to our hometown. Maybe we're going back to a career that we really thought we might do when we were younger. There's some sort of activator here from our past that's coming into our present position to create a tower sensation, if you will. We're having to break down what we thought we wanted to get really honest with ourselves, to who we truly are, and what destiny we really want. We might be in a good relationship, but it is unfulfilling. Now, I'm really careful about this because I think if a relationship is good, as Nicole Oman, if I think a relationship is good, I think if the foundation's there, you should build there. But I've known so many women that are like, my relationship's good, but it's not inspiring. We're on different pages. We have different values. And I'm feeling very called to let go of this relationship. And then I say, okay, you need to listen to yourself, because whether or not that relationship is good or bad, listening to yourself, you might be putting yourself in a weird situation, but at the end of the day, you are going to learn from it. So it feels like there's this energy of an activator, maybe an old past relationship that might be coming into your present moment to question everything that you've built your life upon. If this is the case, I can't believe I'm giving this advice. You need to go with your passion. Your advice from Spirit. Let's go into that. The advice for Spirit is the Ace of Wands. This is also very phallic. It's also very sexual. So one of the pieces that you might be missing is sexual congruence. Sexual satisfaction. That doesn't mean you need to break up with your lover. You might just have to talk to your lover, talk to your relationship and say, hey, we haven't been connecting on this area lately, or maybe ever. Maybe this is not where you guys the chemistry kind of wanes, if you will. What I'm seeing is when you put a little bit more priority into your sex life, whether that be with a partner that you're with, please, I would never tell anybody to have an affair, especially if it's a lying affair. If there's agreements in a relationship, hell, whatever, it's your relationship, do whatever you want with it. But know why you want that emotional affair. Start seeing what is missing in your life. The more that you can be honest with what's missing in your life, then you can start either going back to that relationship, your primary relationship, and trying to focus and work on that together, finding and building the chemistry, or you have to call a spade and go, this square will never be round, okay? And I need to listen to what I need. I hate to say that because there is it almost feels like some selfishness here. There is a air of heartbreak with this energy, but sometimes things need to break for it to get stronger. Sometimes the truth has to come out, and it might hurt somebody's feelings, but at the same time, they might be feeling the same way, or this is going to break you guys eventually if you don't actually deal with it. They talk about most couples go to couples therapy after both people have already decided that this isn't working and they already want to have a divorce, but at the same time they want to say, oh, we did everything we can to try to fix our relationship. Well, instead of going to therapy after the point of no return, why don't we work on this relationship now? Why don't we work on what needs our attention? Let's not beat around the bush here. If you guys haven't had sex in your marriage for 5 years, something needs to be talked about, okay? That is a foundational piece of magic that can bring abundance into your relationship. It can bring satisfaction into your relationship. Now, if you're not a sexual person, then you need to be honest with that person. And there might need to be either agreements that need to be made, or you guys need to move on. The sexual compatibility can't be skirted around anymore. So in the future position that I have is the Two of Swords. Maybe there is something that we've been skirting around. There's a truth. We have these two swords of truth that are kind of like the pink elephant in the room here, but we want to put the blindfold in. There's a major thing that isn't being talked about. And when, like I said, you know, it might bring a little bit of heartbreak once that sword is dropped, once the truth is dropped. But you have something to work with. If you're not honest with what is going on in this relationship, it's never going to heal. You will end up having an affair, or the other person will end up having an affair, and your whole life, then you will have to deal with that. If you are being called or drawn, or there's somebody from your past that's coming up and you feel like you want to, entertain those feelings, entertain those ideas. First, you need to entertain what's really happening. Why is that bait coming? What is it activating with you? Oh, it's activating my need to feel wanted. It's activating my need for passion. It's activating my need to feel emotionally fulfilled. We don't have affairs if everything is hunky-dory in our relationship. There's a reason why we're looking for other people or other things in our life, because we feel dissatisfied, disconnected, or they don't want to work on it. Well, let's call a thing a thing, right? Let's not be blind to what the truth is here, but let's make a little bit of mature decisions here so that as you blow up your life, wow, that's a reading. Instead of just blowing up your life, you really know why you would need to blow up your life. There's a certain feeling that you need of more union. So I've been pulling a card from the Return of Spirit Oracle cards by Cheryl Lee Harnish. The card I got from you is union. What you're craving is union. You're craving a sacred union. Maybe your tantric partner, maybe deeper connection with the partner that you have. But really strong conversations need to be had. The first thing that you can connect to in intimacy is not just sexual. Intimacy is being honest, allowing yourself to be seen with your good, bad, and ugly, and also allowing yourself to say what you truly mean, even if it's good, bad, and ugly, and even if it's going to potentially hurt the other person. Now, you can temper it. You don't have to be like brutal, like you're this, you're that, you're this. Keep it into, I am feeling this way. I feel disconnected from you. If you have exhausted your resources, you've gone to therapy, you've done these things, then your truth might be that you've already made your decision and that you need to let go of this relationship. Your truth might be that you don't want to work on this relationship. The truth might be that they have some truth that they need to tell you. This could be scary, but by the end of all of this, because it's the two, and we have this union card, I'm getting that this, whatever this is, following the light, even if it's the light of truth that might blow up your life, following this light will bring you to a greater sense of union. And I'm not saying this advice haphazardly. This is something I had to go through in my own life a few times with my own husband. There was a person right after I had my first child. I was going through such an identity crisis, just like that 8 of Swords in reverse. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I wanted. Ryan was kind of collapsing. He didn't want to get a job. He was just kind of running around doing triathlons. And I didn't feel really supported and taken care of by him. There was somebody that was from LA, which was my past, that had the career that I wanted, that came into my life, had a crush on me. He wanted me to drop everything and move to LA with him to have this big career in doing this work. And he is a very successful practitioner. He has his own company. He has his own studio. He's doing a lot of beautiful things in the world. What I realized about him is the grass wasn't greener. He was just activating a deeper need that I wanted in my life. The reason why he was dangling that carrot is to activate that I needed more from myself. I wanted this career still, but I had changed. I was a mother and I was a wife. I just needed more from my husband. And I was honest with him. We were up front. I was up front with him. Nothing physically or anything happened. There was a flirting of an emotional relationship here, but I was up front with Ryan. It hurt him. It really did. It did wear on his self-confidence, but it did light a fire under his ass. And he ended up really starting to take action. He ended up getting a job and working a little bit more diligently to really show up for his family, to be a provider, to be a father, right? And so as that happened, me and my relationship with my husband ended up getting stronger and stronger and stronger. It was just that activator that needed to be there to spark this fire, spark this transition, and spark this change that needed to happen in our relationship so we can develop a better relationship together. It was even just the fear of losing me is what brought him back into a state of getting out of his pity party and working hard for us, right? He needs to grow up. And I'm getting a lot of people that are coming to me with some marital issues that their husbands are not growing up. And if this has been a long cycle of time, I'm getting either 2 to 6 years here. If this has been a long cycle of time that nothing's changed, I think there is kind of a turning point that's happening where enough is enough and that you can't stay in purgatory with this relationship. So everybody is going to have a different way to move forward with this. This is not something I can talk about of like what your next steps are in a general reading. That's something that you have to develop within yourself of where you are in this particular placement of trying to find this sacred union. And the sacred union is there for you, but you have to listen. That's that coming back to that star card. You have to listen to what your needs are and how you want to go about doing this step by step by step. Like I said, one of you are probably need to leave your relationship. Another one of you needs to say screw you to that temptation and dive deeper into your relationship. I don't know what's right for you on a general reading, but again, you can book a reading with me. We can talk that out and I can help you flesh that out for yourself. But more than anything, listen to your inner guidance, listen to your inner light. You don't need to be perfect. Sometimes we do have to blow up our life to allow it to kind of the debris to disperse, and then finding what building blocks and foundation you need to start a healthier and a better divine union. But one thing I'm going to keep reiterating, your sexual needs and desires are important. They're always going to talk to you if that is something that is waning in your relationship. It might be more of a need, or it might be more of a need for them than we're giving credit for. There is an intimate and a sexual desire that needs to be worked with. Okay, so whatever that is, that can't go off the back burner. You need this desire into your life, and they might need theirs too. And if they're on a crossroads or a cross section, like one has one need, one has the other, this is something that you need to talk about. You might need to go to a sexual therapist to help you kind of understand how this works. If you need a sexual therapist, I have one. Her name is Pam Borson. She's fantastic. I love her. She has no judgment on any of it. But if you need a little bit more support and guidance, you can get that from me and book a session, and I can help you kind of unravel that on your own. I've done it with a lot of my clients. Okay, so that is your reading. Like I said, it's a little all over the place, but again, really know what your heart is needing and maybe why you're pulling in these old relationships. Okay. If you like what I do, please subscribe so you can get the support and guidance every week. If you also need a little bit more help with this, with your own specificities, you can book a reading. You can book in the description box below. Okay. All right, everyone. I will see you next week. Have a beautiful, beautiful week. Until then, namaste. In touch.